Hello everyone, Lonnie Laub with Stellar Technologies. Today we're going to talk storage. Specifically, we're going to talk configuration of Dell's PowerVault ME5 series storage. What I'm going to do for you is show you how to connect this device via iSCSI to a Hyper-V cluster and set it up for failover. I'm going to set this stage for you. I won't be configuring any of the VMs or anything like that. I'll show you just basically how to set everything up and make it so that it will fail over. If there's an issue with one of your systems, you won't lose storage, you won't lose connection to any of your hosts, your VMs will be there. I'm not going to do any of the VM stuff though. That's going to be for you to do. I'm just setting the stage. You're going to have to get your own instruments. You're going to have to perform, but let's get ready to rock. It's time to talk tech. Okay, so let's talk about these ME5 devices that Dell has here. Dell labels them as versatile and affordable, and I've got to agree, they are both versatile and affordable. So all the fun things that you can do with the SAN, thin provisioning, tiering, snapshots, all that, we can do it with these devices here. Additionally, they're not going to break the bank. They run a few $1,000s. Well, we can get expensive, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But they start at a fairly reasonable price if you need a decent SAN that's going to hold your data and keep it in a redundant fashion and give you lots of options on what you can do configuration-wise. Speaking of redundancy, standard in these guys, we've got dual controller options as well as dual power supplies. So we configure these to, if one power supply goes out, we stay up. If one controller goes out, we stay up. That's key in any environment where you're going to need these to be up all the time. Also, it's built on a 12 gig per second SAS backend. That means we can use 12 gig SAS or nearline SAS drives. We've got the ability to connect these either fiber channel, iSCSI using fiber channel, or base T copper, or direct attach options. We got a whole spread of ways we can connect these devices to our infrastructure. Versatility is what I mentioned before. We can get a ton of storage in these devices. So Dell offers this variant right here is the Dell ME5012. So the 5012 is 12 3.5-inch drives that we can get in this guy. They also offer a 5024 model, which is 24 2.5-inch drives, and a 5084, which is a 5U 84 2.5-inch drives in here. With a max of 20 gig per drive, the ME5084 can hold up to 2 petabytes. That's petabytes, not terabytes, petabytes. On top of that, we've got room to expand these with expansion enclosures, up to 3 per node here, per iSCSI connection. We've got 3 enclosures we can put on top of this. The biggest and baddest of these expansion enclosures also holds 84 drives. That means we can multiply 84 drives at 20 gig apiece times 4 to get 8 petabytes in one fun iSCSI connection. So, versatility, affordability, all sorts of good stuff. But I told you I was going to do the fun stuff, which is configuring this thing for Hyper-V. So let's jump into that. All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is bring up the management interface for this ME5 device. I've already pre-configured this with an IP address and a user. If you have any questions about that, I'll add links to the owner's manual as well as some password reset and restore options. That'll be in the description later. But right now, I've browsed to my device. I'm getting ready to sign in with the user that I created, and we'll get configuring. So first we land on a configuration wizard. I always love a good wizard because the wizard's going to hit on every point that we need to do or we need to configure on this thing. So out of the box, this guy provides a wizard for us. So let's jump into the system config. And first off is going to be network settings. We'll also hit date and time and some iSCSI settings and notifications and all that fun stuff too. But we're going to start with IPv4. I'm not going to be doing anything IPv6 on this, but if you want to, have at it. So we've got our controller A and controller B set to the IP addresses listed here. I've got DNS settings set up. We got host name and DNS servers in here. Now, when it comes to anytime I'm asked if I want to use an NTP server for our time, I hate doing things manually. I'd like to have something else do it for me that's autonomous and just I don't have to think about it. So I'm going to put in the NTP server pool here. Continue. All good there. And like I mentioned before, I've set up a local user on this already. I'm just going to show you what this looks like so you can see the accesses that I've got. So I've set this user up. I've got web access, I've got CLI access, and I've got FTP access if I need to upload anything to the device, firmware-wise or anything like that to get it on. Next is going to be notifications. So with the notifications, I'm not going to set any of these up, but you do have the option to do email, SNMP, and syslog server notification if you wish to. Like I said, for this scenario, we're just demonstrating, so let's get this. Now, when it comes to iSCSI, I'm not going to set up anything crazy. We're not using jumbo frames or any type of extra authentication or security. I have set up an ISNS server, but we're not going to be using it here. I did it for fun. Okay, now the host ports of the iSCSI on this device, we're only going to be setting up port A0 on this. I've got every port configured with an IP address. Obviously, port controller A is a different subnet than controller B. Normal iSCSI configuration, that's what you want to do. You want to keep these separate so that if one goes down, you can fail over and everything's redundant. So I've got that set up right here, as you can see. All 4 iSCSI ports on both controllers are configured and ready to rock. Okay, next thing that they want us to set up is Dell's Support Assist configuration. Again, I'm not going to be setting this up today, but this is basically Dell's access to the device if they need to do anything with troubleshooting. If you ever have an issue with device and you call Dell and you have Support Assist set up, they can get in and read logs and they can look through and see and help you get the device back up and running quickly. And again, since we're just demonstrating what the capabilities are and how to configure this, I'm not going to be setting this up. So let's decline and continue this now. Okay, next, this is the fun stuff. Let's get into the storage configuration. Okay, so we're going to select our storage type. You got virtual or linear. 90% of the time, we'll probably be doing virtual because that gives us, basically it sets up a virtual disk on here, so a RAID array. That's going to give us a lot of the options like the thin provisioning and the tiering that we might want to do. If you're doing linear, that's just direct access to those drives. Not many people do that, but specific applications might need you to do that. I'd say most, if not all of our customers on virtual when they're setting these guys up. Okay, so now we're getting into continuing the storage configuration. Let's set up a data pool, which I've already done. So I've got 4 8-terabyte drives in this unit, and I'm set up in a RAID 10. So I've got 16 terabytes set up that we can spread across a number of different volumes if we want to. So that looks all good there. I've got nothing in B, because like I said, this is just for demonstration. We're just gonna be doing A on this one. Okay, we've got our initial storage configuration done. So let's get in and start provisioning some volumes that we can present to our operating system and actually store stuff to. Okay, they give you this introduction to iSCSI and how to configure it here. Just some basic, checklist for what you should be setting up on the server. I'll tell you what to do when we get into that environment as well. Okay, so first we need to come up with a host name to take our initiator IDs, which I've already taken from Windows, and put in here. And here are our host names. I'm just going to copy and paste that. So, host 1, host 2. So now we got our host set up with an initiator to talk via iSCSI. So now I'm going to attach some volumes to those hosts, and I don't have any volumes set up, so let's create some new volumes. Yes! Okay. Volume name 10. I'm going to go 4 terabyte, add another one. Why? Well, let's go crazy and make this one 5 terabytes. Add one more. There you go. Let's use the remaining space. add that one. We've got our 3 LUNs here. Let's continue. Okay. Well, this would be the time where we like speed up and do all sorts of like. Okay, so we've configured the hosts to the volumes. We are looking good here. So look at this. We've got our entire wizard filled out. We got green check marks across the board. Now we get to connect these to our servers. Continue to dashboard. That'll get us to the actual dashboard that you'll see when you log in to the management interface here. And let's just look at this. We got volumes listed right here. We've got the hosts listed right here, and they have not been connected. First thing I'm going to do is bring up my server number 1. I want to show you the roles that I've got installed on the server to make everything work. Okay, since we're dealing with storage, when we get into server roles, I've got file server installed, I've got iSCSI target server installed, and then I've got iSCSI target storage provider installed, all needed here. Storage services are here, and since we're dealing with Hyper-V, I've got Hyper-V going. When it comes to features of the server, I've got failover clustering installed, and I've also got multipath I/O. That gives the option for 2 systems, 2 or more systems, to talk with that. So we've got multipaths of input-output going. And that is, when it comes to this configuration, this is it. So that's everything we've got installed on the server. Okay, and I just mentioned that I've got MPIO installed, so we have multiple paths going here. Let's configure that right now. Just bring up the MPIO app here. What you're going to want to do is put a check mark here in add support for iSCSI devices. Put a check mark, hit add, it'll prompt you for a reboot. I've already got this configured, so we don't have to wait for a reboot, but I do want to show you how to do this because that is important for this failover. Okay, so you've got the server roles and features installed. We've got MPIO configured for use with iSCSI. Let's get in and actually connect these devices to these volumes via iSCSI. So to do that, we're first going to bring up our iSCSI Initiator, and under the Discovery tab, I'm going to hit the Discover portal, and I'm going to put the IP address of my iSCSI port that I'm connected to. Now that I've done that, you can see that I've got my Dell ME5 storage array here, but it's inactive. What I'm going to do is configure this on this second machine as well. Now I can see both inactive. So what I want to do is connect these, enable multipath, and I'm setting these up to use specifics. I can set these to defaults and usually it works, but I like being specific when it comes to these because then I'm sure that it's doing everything that I need it to. We're connected on there. I've got to auto configure my devices. There's my 3 LUNs that I created, or 3 volumes. You got our favorite target here. Everything looks good on iSCSI on my second server. Let's get in and check our first server. I connect it. We'll multipath. We're going to go all these same options that I used before. Hit OK. We're connected here. Let's see if we can get those same volumes connected to this server. Oh my gosh, it did it. Look at that. That's wonderful when things work. Okay, iSCSI is configured. So what does that mean now? That means that we've got the volumes that we set up on this device available to both of our servers that we're using, or both of our hosts, both of our nodes in our cluster, if you want to get say the technical term for it. But we don't want to set these up just in our disk management here. We can see them. As you can see, here's all of our volumes right here. We can see them, but if I was to write to one of these drives from this system, I wouldn't be able to see it on the other. And that's just the way that Microsoft works in this scenario. But I do want to initialize the disks. Everything's online. I want to get some volumes going here. I'm not doing anything crazy. This is just basic setting up of these drives and getting them ready for use within the cluster. Okay, so those drives are formatted and available to the OS now. Let's set these drives up on the second system now. Just the second system. Get up to disk management. And I've got my disks here. Since I've formatted them, we should be good. We'll just kick them online. Oh, I did not refresh this. Refresh, please. Now we can see all of our disks. Let's see if we can kick them online. Cool. Online. Okay, so we've got all 3 volumes online on both of our systems. How do we get this into our failover cluster? I'll give you a real quick look at what our failover cluster looks like. So with this cluster, just a test cluster I created. Got my 2 servers here, both up, both looking great. And then I've got storage here. So when we set up a failover cluster, on the C drive of the systems, it will create a folder called cluster storage. Right now we have no storage configured for this, but that's about to change. So I will expand that, hit our disks, add a disk. As you can see, it can tell I've got these 3 volumes that I've set up on both systems that we can add to our storage. Ooh, beautiful. Online. 3 new drives online. So what does that mean? That means our failover cluster has our 2 nodes in it, has the disks online. Okay, so we've got our failover cluster with our disks there ready to be used on the actual systems and the host systems themselves. One thing I want to do is set these up for specific failover functionality. So I'm going to get back into my iSCSI initiator. And to do that, we're going to do properties. MCS right here. Our MCS policy is going to be failover only. Do OK on that, and OK. I'm going to do this on my first server as well. Okay, so now we're back on server 1 here, and I'm going to, let's minimize all this. I'm going to go back to my iSCSI config and set up MPIO for this. Failover only. Apply. Okay. 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 If I look at my failover cluster on server 1, I've got those same disks that I set up on server 2. So this cluster knows, hey, this is shared storage. We can all use this and all be happy with it. Okay, so now I can see all 3 of those volumes that I created on both servers and in our failover cluster manager. So I've got the storage right here, but how do I share it between them? Add cluster to storage volume. Do the same thing. Oh, the same thing on these others. Interesting. There's some funky stuff with the mouse happening here. Okay, so now these drives are within our cluster under storage, and they've been shared to our cluster share. So if we bring up our cluster storage, we've got these volumes. Now both of our hosts can access these files on the volumes. So if I was to go to our second server here, I will see the same thing. Volume 1, got my STI rocks text file here. Okay, so now everything is set up for our failover cluster, where we've got both hosts talking to the SAN. We've got our cluster storage set up within the failover, so if one fails, it knows that it's shared between both servers. We're good. I've set the stage for you. Now you get to go and make beautiful music. If you have any questions that arise during any type of configuration, pop them in the comments, because we're actively watching this. We'll help you out. Give us a call here if you need to shop for any Dell storage, Dell servers, anything Dell, we've got it, and we can get it for you if we don't have it. Also, aside from any comments about this video, if there's any other videos that you guys want to see made, we would love to do them. This is fun stuff to get in and actually configure these things and make them do all the crazy things that we know that they're capable of doing, but many people never see. We want to do that for you. We want to help you out. We want to make sure that you got everything you need for your project. So, and if you like following us, if you think we're doing a good job, like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to keep getting more content here for you so that you can come to STI and keep getting free peace of mind with every server.